Hey, so this is my take on an elementalist autobomber. This is by far the most fun starter I have made. Mapping with this character is an absolute blast and scales super well into juiced content. I also managed to squeeze in quite good single target. Just a warning though, this build can be quite squishy. You can definitely take some hits, but not really a face tank kind of character. The main concept of this build revolves around the interaction between Chaos Explosions and Shaper of Flames. So Shaper of Flames lets any damage type ignite. And since Chaos Explosions have a huge 25% monster base life damage, it means the ignites the explosions inflict are completely nuts. I'm talking blue mobs exploding on map bosses is almost enough for the ignite to kill it. As a comparison, Impulsa has 5% monster HP base damage, and Explode just 3%. Since explosions are this strong, we can rely on it to clear entire maps. So the only mandatory items for clear are Obliteration wands, preferably corrupted with increased area of effect, and the Fan the Flame notable that you can get from medium fire dot cluster jewels. For bosses you definitely need a weapon swap though. I just went with the Searing Touch. Now, I do think there's a lot of options how to build the character around this concept, but I found a very simple column stacking mind over matter elementalist to work just fine. For the ascendancy points I went with Shaper of Flames, Mastermind of Discord, and both of the golem notables. The passive tree is also quite straightforward. I just patted to all the efficient damage and life nodes, making sure to pick up Elemental Overload, Golem Commander, and Unwavering Stance. Now, to get even more golems, I'm using the Primordial Chain Amulet, 2 Primordial Jewels, and the Anima Stone. This brings us to a total of 9 golems. Make sure to have 1 Primordial Harmony Jewel. This helps the golems not get worn down by chip damage. Since golems are a big part of the build, you definitely want to buff them with a helmet like this with +2 or 3 level of socket and minion gems. Some other cool tools I'm using is Transcendent Mind right here for easy 24% damage over time multiplier, and the Pure Talent to fill out some stats and to get extra mana regen. As for the cluster jewels, I do have some pretty good ones. Mainly what you're looking for is a medium with Fan the Flame and a large with Master of Flame. Master of Flame is really great for this build because it automates the bonuses from Mastermind of Discord. As for other good notables, I would recommend Burning Bright or Blowback, but not a big deal if you miss out on those. Now for the gear. Since this is a mind over matter build, you definitely want to use Cloak of Defiance. There is no way around that. That's the best body armor by far. An Essence Worm Ring works really well with it as well, to get a good aura going without reserving your mana. I just went with Malevolence. Another cool ring I'm using is Malachai's Artifice with my Lightning Golem inside it. This lets us have Lightning Golems apply Elemental Equilibrium for us. This is not really needed if you are fine proccing Elemental Equilibrium yourself, but I did try to automate as much things as possible for this build. Speaking of automation, I'm using Aberrant Hooves to do most of the work of starting explosion chains. With these boots, each step procs a skill that does AoE damage around us. With 4 support gems and some help from other flat damage sources, the steps are just enough to start explosion chains just by running around. As a bonus, it's a great way to keep up Elemental Overload while mapping. Also, it is very important that you use an Immolate support gem in the boots. This gem almost doubles the ignite damage of the steps. Though the boots work quite well in most maps, it does hit the ceiling at harder content like 60 plus Delirium or just very high HP or resistance mobs. At that point it is better to rely on your main DPS skill for mapping. As for the flasks, you definitely want the Cinder Swallow. This gives a lot of damage and sustain while mapping. Also, a quartz is great, so you can run through mobs and avoid danger. As for the other 3 flasks, this is more open-ended. I went with the basalt, quicksilver, and granite. Some good mods to roll on those is remove curses, remove poison, remove bleeds. The rest of the gear is just basic rares with life and resists. So what skills am I using anyways? To be honest, almost any good ignite or fire dot skill works great, but I found the combination of flame wall and flame blast to be most potent. So I have the flame wall in the body armor and the flame blast in the weapon swap searing touch. Flame wall has really quick cast time, so it's really convenient to use while mapping if you need extra damage. If you can, try to get a Divergent Flame Blast gem. It lets us get 2 extra stages for close to 20% more damage. Pretty crazy for an alternative quality gem. I also have a few situational gems. Flame Dash to dodge around and speed up movement. Arcane Cloak on left click for a bit of extra damage and absorption. And a Wave of Conviction to proc Elemental Overload and apply a full effect Fire Explosion on bosses. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for the build. Now if you're starting on a really low budget, your priorities should look something like this. For leveling, just pick up Aberrat Hooves and use any ignite skill you like. Personally, I went with Flame Wall and Fireball until like level 80. I hope you enjoyed the build and see you soon.